It's January 1960, and Greenland is the most important piece of ice on Earth that nobody talks about. 4,000 miles of frozen coastline sitting between America and the Soviet Union. Right now, at Thule Air Base, radar technicians are watching screens for bombers that could end the world in hours. But Greenland isn't just watching. It's hosting nuclear weapons, crash sites, and secrets buried under ice. This is one day in the Arctic's hidden war.
Thule Air Base, 750 miles from the North Pole. Built in 1951, it's America's northernmost military installation. 3,000 personnel rotate through extreme cold. The base exists for one reason: early warning. Soviet bombers flying over the pole would appear here first. The dew line, distant early warning. Radar stations stretching across the Arctic. If Soviet Tu-95 bears appear, America gets maybe 4 hours warning before ICBMs launch in response. 4 hours to decide if the world ends. Personnel live in heated barracks where outside it's 40 below. Shifts run 24 hours, 6 months tours. The isolation breaks some people. Others just count days until rotation south. Everything arrives by air. Food, fuel, mail, equipment. Winter storms can close the base for weeks. You learn to ration. Coffee, cigarettes, news from home.
Denmark owns Greenland. America leases the base. The relationship is complicated. Danish officials oversee operations. Indigenous Inuit communities were relocated to build Thule. No one asked them. The United States paid Denmark. The Inuit got nothing but promises. Geography is destiny. The shortest route for Soviet bombers to hit American cities runs directly over Greenland. The shortest route for American bombers to hit Moscow does the same. Both sides know it. Both sides watch. Radar dishes scan the horizon constantly. The equipment freezes. Ice builds up on moving parts. Maintenance crews work in conditions that can kill exposed skin in minutes. Breakfast at 0600. Powdered eggs, bacon, coffee that could strip paint. The same routine every day. Routine keeps you sane when you're watching for Armageddon. Intelligence reports come daily. Soviet submarine activity near Iceland, new bomber deployments in Murmansk. Every movement analyzed, every pattern memorized. The Arctic is a chessboard where neither side can afford mistakes. 0800 hours, daily intelligence briefing. What they discuss here stays here. Project Iceworm, Camp Century, nuclear weapons storage, information that could spark international incidents. Camp Century sits 150 miles inland. Officially, it's a research station studying ice core samples. Actually, it's testing whether the U.S. can hide mobile nuclear missiles under Greenland's ice sheet. The project is so classified, even most base personnel don't know. The plan: carve tunnels deep in glacial ice. Store medium-range missiles that can move on rails. Launch sites the Soviets can't target because they don't know where they are. It sounds insane because it is. They even built a portable nuclear reactor, PM-2A, to power the facility. It's the only nuclear reactor ever placed under Arctic ice. The ice shifts constantly. Tunnels collapse. Radiation containment is a gas. But here's what the briefing doesn't say. The ice moves faster than predicted. Camp Century will be abandoned within 6 years. The reactor will be removed, but radioactive waste, diesel fuel, and PCBs will remain buried, waiting to emerge as glaciers melt. Operation Chrome Dome. B-52 bombers carrying live nuclear weapons fly continuous patrols over Greenland. If war starts, they are already airborne. If one crashes, it could contaminate hundreds of square miles. The Danes don't officially know. The Soviets have their own Arctic stations. Both sides spy on each other from opposite ends of the ice. Submarines probe under the ice cap. Reconnaissance planes test air defenses. It's a cold war on cold ground. The briefing ends. Officers return to stations. What they learned stays locked in their heads.
Secrecy is more important than safety.
The base also runs legitimate weather monitoring. Arctic weather patterns affect global climate systems. Soviet weather, too. Sometimes intelligence and science share the same ice.
Communication lines run south through submarine cables and satellite uplinks. Messages encrypted. Everything monitored. You write letters home knowing sensors read every word.
Kaanak, 30 miles north. This village exists because Thule Air Base does. In 1953, the U.S. forced 116 Inuit people from their ancestral lands to build the base. They were given 4 days' notice, promised new homes, relocated to harsher hunting grounds. Life continues the old way as much as possible. Seal hunting, dog teams, ice fishing. But the good hunting grounds are now restricted military zones. Tradition collides with strategic necessity. Inside homes, families speak Kalaallisut and maintain customs, but children increasingly speak Danish and English. American dollars circulate. The Dace employs some Inuit as guides and laborers. The money helps. The loss remains. The elders remember when this land was theirs, when stars guided navigation, not radar, when the ice belonged to people, not superpowers. The base will operate for decades. The displacement is permanent. Interactions are cordial but strange. Americans come for tours, photograph Inuit people like exhibits, buy carvings, ask questions through translators. The Inuit are props in someone else's strategic theater. Two worlds exist on the same ice. One measures time in seasons and animal migrations. The other measures time in bomber flight paths and missile ranges. Neither fully understands the other. Children adapt fastest. They play in snow wearing mix of traditional and American clothing. Their world is hybrid, their future uncertain. When the Cold War ends, will anyone remember the people who paid the price? A hunter heads out to restricted zone's edge. He knows every ice formation, every wind pattern. His grandfather taught him. But now helicopters patrol what his family hunted for generations. In quiet meetings, elders discuss compensation, legal rights. Denmark represents them, but Denmark also leased the land. Who speaks for the displaced when both governments profit? The aurora dances overhead, indifferent to borders and bases. It's shown here before nations claimed the ice. It will shine after. But for the Inuit, the loss is now, permanent and unresolved. 1100 hours. A helicopter lifts off on classified orders. Destination, 100 miles southwest. 8 years ago, a B-52 crashed here during a storm. Official story, aircraft destroyed, crew lost. Real story, the bomber carried nuclear weapons. The wreckage is still radioactive. The crash scattered debris across 2 miles. Conventional explosives in the bombs detonated. Nuclear cores survived intact, buried in ice and seawater. Recovery teams came fast, salvaged what they could, left what they couldn't. Regular monitoring checks radiation levels. Plutonium has a half-life of 24,000 years. The ice will melt eventually. When it does, contaminants will enter the ocean. The Danish government wasn't told for years. Pieces of aircraft emerge as ice shifts. Tail section, engine cowlings, personal effects from crew. Each piece tells the story of men who carried Armageddon and never came home. Documentation is mandatory, every visit recorded, photographs classified. The military tracks how ice moves, how fast radiation disperses. This is a long-term monitoring site disguised as empty ice. This isn't the only crash. Between 1958 and 1968, several nuclear-armed aircraft go down over Greenland, Spain, and the Arctic Ocean. The policy of airborne alert seems safer than ground storage until bombers start falling from the sky. Scientists studying ice cores will eventually find traces of plutonium in layers corresponding to these crashes. The ice is an archive. It remembers what humans try to forget.
The helicopter lifts off. The crash site returns to silence. Wind blows snow over wreckage. By tomorrow, fresh snow will hide today's tracks. The ice keeps secrets better than governments. 1960 is a year of near misses, false alarms, technical failures. The Cuban Missile Crisis is 2 years away. The world practices brinkmanship on fragile technology and thinner ice.
The military calls these incidents broken arrow. The term sounds benign. The reality is weapons-grade plutonium scattered across foreign territory, with host nations unaware. Trust is the first casualty.
1,400 hours. On the coast, technicians monitor SOSUS, Sound Surveillance System. Underwater microphones listen for Soviet submarines. The Arctic Ocean is a highway for nuclear subs carrying ballistic missiles. Operators listen for specific signatures, propeller cavitation, hull resonance. Each Soviet submarine class has a distinct sound. Tracking them is part science, part art. A good operator can identify a sub by ear.
Sound travels farther underwater than radar travels through air. A submarine 300 miles away can be tracked. The Soviets know about SOSUS. They run silent operations, trying to slip through gaps in coverage.
Soviet Yankees-class subs carry 16 nuclear missiles. Each missile can hit a different American city. One submarine could kill millions. Tracking them isn't paranoia, it's survival math. The Arctic ice complicates everything. Submarines can hide under ice, undetectable from air. They surface through polynyas, open water in frozen seas. Sailors navigate by periscope through ice canyons in permanent darkness. Contact logs show patterns, patrol routes, schedule changes. When Soviet sub-activity increases, U.S. bomber alert status rises. Each side watches the other watching them. Escalation is always one miscalculation away. A possible contact appears. Fate. Could be a sub, could be a whale. Confirmation takes hours. In a crisis, hours could be too long. The system depends on judgment calls by tired humans in isolated stations. Confirmed submarine contacts get reported up the chain. Fleet Command, Pentagon, sometimes the White House. Every Soviet missile submarine in Arctic waters is a presidential-level concern. NATO maritime patrol aircraft work in coordination. Canadian, British, Norwegian, Danish. The Arctic is a shared defense burden. Everyone watches everyone, allies included. Shift ends at 1600. 8 hours listening for threats. The operator's ears ring. Tomorrow, another shift. The submarines never stop. Neither can the listeners. Deterrence is a job that never ends. 1700 hours. The weather station launches its afternoon radio sonde, a balloon carrying instruments into the stratosphere. Weather data is legitimately valuable. It's also intelligence. Soviet weather affects military planning. Weather patterns over the Arctic influence global climate. Data collected here is shared internationally through World Meteorological Organization. Some data is shared, some isn't. Science and secrecy coexist uncomfortably. Scientists also study ice cores. Layers of accumulated snow preserve climate history going back 100,000 years. This research is pure science. It has no military application, but it happens on a military base funded by defense budgets. Some scientists notice the ice sheet is changing, melting faster than expected. In 1960, climate change isn't yet mainstream science. Their warnings are noted, filed, forgotten. The focus is Soviet threats, not environmental ones. Atmospheric monitoring serves another purpose, detecting nuclear tests. When the Soviets detonate weapons in Siberia, radioactive particles drift across the Arctic. Sensitive instruments detect them. Science becomes spycraft. The paradox of Arctic research. Scientists want to share data globally. Militaries want to classify it. The same measurements can advance meteorology or military planning. Context determines use. Researchers study the aurora. The ionosphere affects radio communication. Solar storms can disrupt radar. Understanding space weather has military value. Even the sky is strategic.
Some scientists are Danish, Norwegian, American, even Soviet during International Geophysical Year cooperation. Science creates temporary common ground. Outside the lab, their governments are enemies.
The ice they study is older than nations, older than wars. It contains air from when woolly mammoths roamed. Perspective comes from working with geological time, while political tensions measure days to potential apocalypse. At day's end, weather data transmits to international databases. Tomorrow, meteorologists in Moscow and Washington will use the same information. Science is one place where the Cold War occasionally thaws.